I am live. Good evening, everyone. Good evening, good evening, good evening. How are we all doing this evening? And how has your day been? I'm doing something different, which I'm looking forward to. Kind of streaming on different platforms. So we'll see how this goes today. So give me a little chance in this first time. But today we're going to be starting the series Dare to Parent Differently. And I must say, it's so important that we dare to parent differently. And in this episode, what I'm going to do, I'm just going to explain why we should parent differently, what it even means to parent differently, and then we will take it from there. Now it's showing that it's live, so I'm hoping that it's live. I'm hoping that it's live, but I will get going. I will get going and figure this thing out as we go along. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Okay. All right. Okay. So we're on Facebook and we are also on YouTube. So this is actually awesome. Okay. It's saying it's live now, but then I don't see. Okay. All right. I'm going to just keep going and then we'll figure it out as we go along. Okay. What does dare, why should we even dare to parent differently? What is this really all about? Dare to parent differently. What is it about? Well, let's start with why actually we should parent differently. Or should we start with what it means? What it means to parent differently is parent differently. It's as simple as it actually sounds. Parent differently. Now, parent differently from what? Parent differently to what? What is that really all about? And when we say parent differently, are we insinuating that our parents didn't do a good job? The answer is no. We're not insinuating that. The reason why we need to dare to parent differently is because we live in a different world. We live with a different generation. We live with a different system. We live in it's totally different from how we were when we were growing up. So if we take the way we were parented and bring it into today's world of parenting, it doesn't work. We come across lots of clashes, lots of just thinking differently. And so it's very, very vital that we parent differently. And I'm going to give you some not some more reasons, but just going to give you some ways that we can parent differently. But I must start with saying that whatever it is that we're saying here in terms of parenting differently, we are not saying that our parents didn't do a great job. We're not being ungrateful to our parents. We're not being disloyal to our parents. What we are doing here is taking our parents' legacy and actually evolving with it. Okay? So if you look at it now, if you look at our parents' legacy shouldn't really be stuck in this generation. It should evolve. So we do our parents and our grandparents and our great grandparents, we do them a disservice when we don't evolve in parenting. Even they will be wondering, I did that in the 18th century. I did that in the 17th century. Why are you still doing that now? Do you know what I mean? They want us to evolve in our parenting. They want us to evolve. The principles around parenting hasn't changed and it won't change. Parenting is about guiding our children, leading our children in the way they should go. So that's not going to change. But the process, the way we actually do it, that's what requires the change. And that's what we shouldn't fall into the trap of not evolving, because we do both our parents a disservice and we do ourselves a disservice as well. So we must dare to parent differently. We must dare to parent differently. Let me know. Just put a comment in the chat box so that I know that people are actually watching. Because right now I'm not even sure. Let me know in the chat box who is actually on board. I can see some views, but I don't know the people actually on board. Let me know as we figure this whole StreamYard stuff out. Yeah. Okay. Awesome. So that's the reason. The generation is different. The world is different. The system is different. We live in a digital world at the moment. When we were growing up, we didn't have all these things that we have digitally. I remember watching a TEDx some years ago, and the speaker said that we, as parents, we are immigrants to the digital world, and our children are the natives of the digital world. So it tells you that we have a lot of learning to do. And I love Alvin Toffler's quote that says, "The illiterates of the 21st century won't be those who cannot read or write now. It's going to be those who are not open to learn, unlearn, and relearn." And I love that quote, because what that quote does and what it gives us the allowance to know that we don't know it all. We've still got learning to do. We don't know it all. Some of our ways we need to unlearn, and also some ways that we need to relearn in this journey of parenting. And you know why this journey of parenting is so vital? Another reason why it's so vital is because we set the foundation of what our children will become, who our children will be in their own future relationships. So this parenting journey is not a joke. This parenting journey is not a journey for the unprepared. And I love what I wrote. I'm just going to share a bit of what I wrote in our book, The Parenting Teens Navigation System. I love there's this part I wrote here, and I said, as parents and carers, God has entrusted our children to us to help guide them on their journeys of life. We are here to help them as they discover who they are, what they want to contribute to in life, what values to hold on to, and how to align their characters to those values. This is this part I love. As their guides, we therefore cannot come unprepared. An unprepared guide will be misunderstood. An unprepared guide will hardly be listened to. We must prepare and stay prepared for each phase of this journey. So it's so important that we have to prepare for this journey. And this preparation involves the learning. It involves the unlearning. It involves the relearning. And that's what daring to parent differently means. Being open to this world, being open to what we need to learn, being open to what we need to unlearn. What are the habits that we need to unlearn? What are the habits that are not working at the moment? What do we need to do about it? And if we stubbornly say, no, we don't have anything to learn, we don't have anything to unlearn, we don't have anything to relearn, then we stay stuck and stagnant. And what do they say about stagnant waters? Stagnant water stinks. People are not attracted to stagnant water. You end up breaking your relationship with your children slowly and unknowingly when you refuse to change, when you refuse to do things differently. So it's so vital that we do dare to parent. And I'm going to share with you two ways. I'm just going to share two in this episode. And as we go along, because this is something we're going to do every week, then I'm going to be sharing more and more ways that we can dare to parent differently. But I want to start with talking, because communication is the lifeblood of any relationship. And that includes our relationship with our children. How do we speak to our children? How do we speak to them? What's the tone? How do you talk to your children? Talking to your child starts with, who is your child? Because when you look at people around in the world, when you know who someone is, you talk to them in a kind of different way, isn't it? You know, if the queen is here today, you're not going to talk to the queen anyhow. Or if you're talking to a president or you're talking to a big official, you're not going to speak to them anyhow. So the first question is, who is your child? Who is your child? Is your child just a child that should just do what they're told and doesn't have much to achieve in life? Is your child a trailblazer? Is your child someone who's going to make a difference in the world? Is your child a king? Is your child a queen? Who is your child? Because when you can define who your child is, then that's going to lead the way in the way you communicate with your child. And that's really the key. If you don't know who your child is, then you're going to take your child for granted and speak to them anyhow when cases arise. So who is your child? Define who your child is to you. I shared in a video in a conference where I was speaking over the weekend, and I said, your child is God's purpose. You are a caretaker of God's purpose. So when you know that your child is such a masterpiece, then you're going to adjust the way you speak to your child, even in times of chaos, because you know you are speaking to someone special. So the first process or the first stage of daring to parent differently is to define who your child is to you. Define who your child is. Define your goal as a parent to this child. What is your role in this child's life? And once you can establish those two things, who is your child? What is your role as a parent? Then you can then start looking into, what am I going to do right in terms of my communication? Because as I said, communication is the lifeblood of any relationship. What are the things I'm going to do and what are the things I'm not going to do in this relationship? What are the things what should I start doing? What should I stop doing? What should I do more of? And what should I do less of? These are key fundamentals in daring to parent differently. And I know sometimes parents will say, but Fina, I don't have time. I've got work. I've got all these things that I'm doing. How is this all going to work? We've got to be intentional. That's what intentional parenting is all about. If we're not intentional in our parenting journey, then we are literally giving our children out to the world. And guess what? The world may not share your value system. And so that's really the key in all this. And when we talk about these changes that we make as parents, we're not doing it in such a judgmental way where we're saying, oh, I made all these mistakes. No, none of us are perfect. We are going to make mistakes along the journey. But what we do about those mistakes matters. We shouldn't hold ourselves hostage to the mistakes we've made in the past as parents. That will be doing ourselves a disservice and depriving our children of the better version that we can be. So give yourself that chance to change. Don't hold yourself hostage and say, oh, I can't change. Oh, it's too late. It's never too late. It's never too late to change. And so I will encourage all of us to sit down this week. And we're getting to the end of the month as well. So this is a beautiful time to start things. Press the reset button and start things afresh. What do I need to change about the way I communicate to my children? You can also take this next step. Get your children together at the end of this month. And let's just have a relaxed conversation where no one's going to get in trouble for saying the truth. How do I speak to you as a mom? How do I speak to you as a dad? Let your children share with you without the fear of being told off or getting into trouble. You want to hear from them. You want to hear what they think. And when they share with you, don't take it personal. Don't think, oh, what are they doing? Don't take it personal. Use it as an opportunity to make the changes that you need to make so that you can have better results. So that's really, really the key. So that's kind of the assignment I'm going to kind of leave out with us today. Define who your child is. Define what your role is in this parenting journey. Think about the things that you do in terms of communicating, how you talk to them and how you listen to them. Those are the two parts I want us to focus on this week. How do I talk to my child and how do I listen to my child? Make a review. Evaluate what you do in terms of talking and listening to your child. And we're going to share some more tips as we go along. But I just wanted this to be like an introduction to the many things we're going to share in this Daring to Parent Differently series. I'm looking forward to it because even in my journey, I'm still daring to parent differently. It never stops. It never expires. we keep going, we keep daring, we keep parenting differently because our children are growing at different stages. So how you show up at one stage could be slightly different than how you show up at another stage. But we must be open to dare to parent differently. And with that, I am going to wrap it up with that and just share with us and say, let's keep on going. This is a journey, and I'm looking forward to sharing more and more with you. But I thought I don't want to make it too long, and let's just start with this journey. So let me know. I will go back on Facebook and just check, and YouTube as well, and check on your comments as well as we go along. But thank you so much for joining me on this first episode of Dare to Parent Differently series. I am super, super excited. Thank you so much. And I will talk to you soon. See you next Monday at the same time, 8 p.m. Talk to you soon. Bye.